Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyillah. Why do sometimes people, they will get their prayers answered and they're doing everything wrong? This is of those things that when I occasionally would have conversations with some of my Christian relatives, they'd say, oh, but I had such and such experience with Jesus. And Jesus answered such and such prayer for me. And so, I did such and such and this prayer was answered for me. This is of those things that people, as superstitious as they are, they will hold to this type of evidence of circumstantial happenstance that some such and such happened alongside of this. This ultimately, of course, is not evidence. And just because someone gets the prayers answered does not mean that they did everything in the right way. Like you'll have some people that will ask Jesus to take away their smoking. Like one of the people, like my stepdad, he thinks that basically the reason he got rid of smoking is because he asked Jesus to take away smoking, and all of a sudden he quit smoking. Wow, this is evidence that Jesus is really. Is this evidence that Jesus is really God? No, it's not evidence that Jesus is God. Subhanallah. So some people hold on to this type of flimsy happenstance to do this. And someone will say, oh, but the prayer did get answered. So how did it get answered? You got to have an explanation for that. The explanation is very simple. For why do people get their prayers answered when they're doing shirk and while they're doing things wrong? It's because Allah will test people. Allah will test people to see where they're at, and also to see if they're going to be willing to follow the truth when it comes to them with clear evidence, in spite of some of the different trials and in spite of the different things that they've gone through previously. Previously, when I was a Christian, I had certain experiences that to me, it seemed like it must have been something that was supernatural. And even then, after I left Christianity, there were other experiences that I had without a doubt that I thought were beyond circumstantial. Like it was something that was like they would say synchronicity, things of this sort. And there were things that happened, a lot of these that happened before I came into Islam. When I came into Islam, I saw that it was the truth. First off, I saw it was the truth. It had the evidences behind this. Now, these other things that seem circumstantial and these other crazy experiences and whatnot, they're too coincidental to be an accident. They weren't an accident, but rather they were a test. And this is what's required from us to go to and look at. We're like, this is not just because certain things come to you in a certain way doesn't mean that what you were doing was right. And also similar to this, some people have the opposite of this. And what they will have is that all of a sudden, as soon as they start to do something right, everything goes wrong. And so this is it's a real occurrence. People have this, they'll start doing a certain act of worship, then everything goes bad in their life. And then they'll be like, okay, now I'm not supposed to do this act of worship. No, this is not an evidence for you to stop doing this this act of worship. As long as you have the evidence from the Qur'an and Sunnah that tell you to do such and such or such and such, then for you to keep doing this is what is required from you. And you don't need to go into other things and try to use circumstantial evidence to allow you to keep going or stop doing this. If you have the Sharia that tells you this is a good thing for you to do, then do it. If bad things happen, then this is a test. And ultimately, the state of a mu'min is always a good thing. If something good comes to him, he's thankful and he gets rewarded for his thankfulness. And if something bad happens, then it becomes a kafara for any of his sins, or it becomes something that raises him up darajat in Jannah when he's patient through this. And so don't ever let these circumstantial things happen. And this is just a test that Allah puts people through, and to see whether or not they're truly going to worship Allah in sincerity, or if they're going to just follow the winds wherever they blow them. And if it's good for them, then they'll go. And as Allah mentions that there are those people that worship Allah al-Ḥarām. Like if a good thing happens to them, then they're all set. And if something bad happens, انقلب على وجهه. Like then he falls over and he's no longer strong in his faith. And so this is of the things that people will be tested with this type of scenario. And don't ever let this kind of flimsical circumstantial evidence become something that gives you a right to do something or a right not to do something, meaning that this is a go ahead. Okay, such and such happened, this is a go ahead. And such and such happened, oh no. This is superstition. And this superstition has no place. There's no place in the life of a Muslim, and of course no place in the life of a human. And this ultimately is just a test. to see if you're going to pass the test. Are you going to really follow Allah when He gives you His commands? Or are you going to just follow your whims and your desires when it's good for and it's easy for you and it makes sense and it seems like it's nice? Then great. And of course, it's not always like this. Like Allah is merciful to us. And a lot of times it will be the opposite scenario, meaning that when somebody does follow Islam and when somebody does start praying on time and they start to hold on to the deen and they start to leave off the haram, that Allah will make things easier. And this is the base. This is the base of what comes about when somebody follows Allah and follows His commands and they do tawheed. That things are much better. But if something happens at this, and this is not an evidence or an excuse for someone to say, "Oh, this is actually evidence," and it's not. And of course, there's another explanation as well, which is that the shaitan is probably just messing with this person as well. Of course, and he doesn't do anything except by that Allah allows this to occur. But this could also be that the shaitan wants to make this person be stronger in his kufr. And so like this part, so the shaitan will mess with this person as soon as he starts to pray and whatnot. The shaitan's going to do all kinds of things. Another example of this, it's like some people, they will say, when I go to the masjid to pray, I can't focus. I get all kinds of waswas and there's all kinds of nonsense and whatnot, and I can't focus. But if I was at home, and I pray by myself, this is for men, of course. And then they say that, okay, then I can actually focus in my salah, and it's better because I can actually focus. You know, I don't have all the other distractions. I don't think about what this person thinking, blah, 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 blah. No, this is the shaitan playing with you. The shaitan is messing with you extra when you go to the masjid. And the reason he does this is because you're doing something great. And you're doing something that is extremely important for a man to do. And so when you go and you leave off this great thing, shaitan he'll let it off just a little bit. He's like, okay, as soon as this guy, he prays at home, he's already doing what I'm wanting him to do. I'm wanting to get farther and farther away from the guidance that Allah has given us. So he lets him pray at home and he gives him all the peace and tranquility that he wants. But then if he goes to the masjid, he's going to give him all that he's got so that he can keep him away from the masjid. Now, if somebody, they do their jihad against themselves and they go and they pray in the masjid in spite of the shaitan. And they say, yeah, I know that this is such and such is going to happen, but I'm going to still, even though the shaitan is messing with me, I'm still going to pray. Then they'll find after a period of time that Allah will help them in this issue, and they're going to get extra rewards. They're getting rewards not only for praying in the masjid, but they're also getting the rewards for fighting the shaitan while praying at the masjid. This is extra rewards. So someone should never let the shaitan play these mind tricks with them. And if the shaitan does mess with people and tries to ruin their ibadah that they do, then they should just keep doing even more in spite of that. And never let the shaitan stop them from doing something that's good. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.